Gophers starting their usual lineup, Battle, McKinney, Heyer, Groholski, and Hart. It's the Ducks working right to left in green. They are 0-1 in these green uniforms this season, and the Gophers in their white and pink jerseys for the pink game. It's the Ducks with the ball off the tip-off. They'll go to the post early on. Big lefty loses the ball, and the Gophers force a turnover right off the bat.
Great start for the Gophers defensively, especially post Sophie Hart. She has been playing her best basketball these last couple games, coming off a career high at Ohio State in points.
Well, we were talking about her pregame. Just such a fun player to watch her develop, and taking on a big role as she gets the Gophers on the board right away on cue. Marissa, I think that one's on you.
I did not see her feet. I do not believe that was her first career three-pointer, but we haven't seen Sophie Hart hit a shot like that. She is feeling it these last couple games for the Minnesota Gophers.
Well, she just has one career attempt. That came last year, but you know, the way she's feeling it, maybe later today as the Ducks go to Kelly. Almost gets on the board, but it rattles off, and Battle gets the rebound. Gophers set up, losing it on the screen from Hart. And the Ducks will just watch that one go out of bounds. It'll be their ball.
This is an interesting matchup today. The Ducks rely on forcing steals, creating turnovers, while the Gophers are number 2 in the nation in turnovers. They like to control the basketball. They're an incredibly disciplined team with the basketball in their hands. So again, a very interesting matchup stat-wise between the Oregon Ducks and the Minnesota Gophers.
Well, Kelly found Mevius right at the stripe. They go to the post again, and the left hand cannot finish. She gets her own rebound. That's something we knew would happen a lot going in today. And the three from Mevius gets the Ducks on the board and on top.
The Ducks like to run this little 1-2-2 three-quarter court trap, slow the Gophers down a little bit, getting into their offensive sets.
Well, good job from Groholski getting it off to Battle. They'll swing it around to Heyer, and that'll get kicked on its way into Sophie Hart. On the inbound, it'll be Grace Groholski. And she'll find Heyer backing up and dishes it off to Battle. Battle near the top, finds Groholski. Works in, not a whole lot of space for the Gophers to work with. Heyer, and it's back to Groholski. 4 seconds on the clock. They'll go far side. And not quite able to finish is Tori McKinney.
You can see just having Che down in the paint, that 6'8" presence. The Gophers are not attacking the basket the way they normally do in their half-court offense.
Well, now it's the Ducks' turn to set up. 3-2 early on. And they'll look to work in slowly. Sophia Bell has it now. She'll dish it back. The three. And off some rattles. No good for Deja Kelly.
Great job by the Gophers finding a body and getting a box out on that defensive set.
Gophers Heyer, swings it around to Groholski. Looks and works over around the top, finds Battle. Good hand from Mevius, couldn't quite get it as Battle sinks a 2.
Nobody hits a mid-range jumper better than Amaya Battle.
Well, it's 4-3 Gophers. Low scoring start, as we knew would be the case with this game. Two very strong defensive teams, as they'll feed the post on her right side, bit weaker on that side, but she'll dish it back to Bell, and she'll get nothing on that.
Neither one of these teams are known for their outside shooting, so I'm a little bit surprised to see the Oregon Ducks going to their three-point shot so early here in this first quarter.
Well, the Ducks 1 of 2 from 3 and 1 of 5 from the floor. As Battle works it in, takes the deep 2, and it's off the rim. But a good turnover, and McKinney puts it back up.
Great job by Tori McKinney getting herself involved early in the game defensively. She is known for her defense. She's struggled a little bit offensively since Big Ten play has started, so I love seeing her get herself involved early through her defense.
Well, Falatea thought about the 3, and instead Kelly will draw the foul.
Annika Stewart has subbed in for the Gophers. She has been such a presence off the bench for the Minnesota Gophers this season, transferring home, a Wayzata, Minnesota native from Nebraska, leading the Gophers in scoring, coming off the bench.
Also leads the team with a 42.9 three-point percentage, as looking to inbound is Mevius. Falatea has it. Battle got lost along the way, but the missed shot. Battle keeps it alive, and the Gophers will start working the other way.
You tuned into that Gophers-Ohio State game on Thursday night. I thought Alexia Rose had her best game in a Minnesota Gopher jersey thus far. She came off the bench and gave them incredible minutes, both offensively and defensively, for the Minnesota Gophers on Thursday night at Ohio State.
We'll talk about a team-led, exciting finish. All starters, all 5 starters plus Annika Stewart had points when they trailed by 14 with 5 minutes left and somehow came back. So such an exciting game to watch, even though they couldn't quite pull it off in overtime.
This Gopher squad this season has no quit in them. They never give up. You can never count them out of any basketball game, and that is one thing that they've really prided themselves on this season.
We'll battle to work off the inbound from Gracholski, and not a whole lot of room to work. And she'll turn it over.
Gophers did record their season high in turnovers at Ohio State, which was surprising to see. The Buckeyes were able to force them into more turnovers than they're used to, and we're seeing that a little bit here early today as well. Gophers already have 2 turnovers in this game, and they average just over 10 per game this season. So we'll keep an eye on those turnovers for the Gophers as well.
Well, when Oregon beat Washington this past Wednesday, they start to bring out the trap a lot more, and so something we're certainly seeing early on is they'll feed the post. And going up but not able to finish is Amina Muhammad. Battle working up the other way.
Nice job by Ani Stewart, moving her feet defensively in the post, keeping her hands straight up and down, getting a good box out, getting that rebound, getting her offense going for the Gophers.
Feed into Stewart. Stewart has it up at the top. She'll go all the way around to Battle. Good feed to the post, and Heyer puts it up. No good. Ducks get the rebound.
That is a look that both Mallory Heyer and Grace Gracholski give you as guards, as they are both able to get into the post and give you a little bit of a mismatch.
Well, a really good play between Kelly and Muhammad there. 6-5 Gophers, 4:40 to go in the first quarter, as another turnover from Gracholski, and Mevius will lay that one easily, putting Oregon back on top.
You hate to see that turnover happen in this full court trap, because you know the Gophers worked on this in their practice, right? They knew the Ducks were going to put this trap on them. Coach Don Plitzowite can't be happy with that turnover out of that trap that they knew was going to happen.
Well, Battle looks to slow things down a bit. She'll hand it off to Rose. Gracholski working in on Scott. Scott not giving her a whole lot of room. She'll go up with the right hand and it'll trickle in.
Great up and under by Grace Gracholski. Struggling offensively a little bit, but she's been doing a lot of other things for the Gophers, doing a fantastic job hitting the boards, playing a ton of minutes for the Gophers, averaging just under 40 minutes a game, playing a ton of minutes, like I said. So we'll see how her offense happens here today.
It was Kelly on that last shot. Now it's Heyer from 3.
One of the aspects of this Minnesota Gopher team that makes them difficult to defend is any one of their players on any given night can be their leading scorer. We talk a lot about how any one of them can score, and we're seeing that early. Mallory Heyer's got 3, Amaya Battle's got 2, Tori McKinney, Sophie Hart also have 2. So almost all of their players are already on the scoreboard.
Well, what a play right there from Falatea.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
That inbound, it'll be Gracholski finding Rose as a substitution in place. Sophia Bell taking the place of Deja Kelly. Like we said, this is a team with a lot of bench points that likes to move around their lineups throughout the game.
This Oregon Ducks team second in the Big Ten in bench production, 27.4 points per game. So they don't lose a ton of scoring when they go to their bench. The Gophers cannot take their foot off the gas defensively when the Oregon Ducks substitute.
Right now it's Rambis, Scott, and Muhammad who are on from the bench as the Gophers. McKinney with the ball. Hart thought about setting the screen. Not a whole lot of space to go, but she'll find Rose near corner. 3 seconds to go, and can't get a clean shot off.
Sarah Rambis for the Ducks having a tough time against Sophie Hart. Sophie Hart crashing the boards like she does so well. 4th in the Big Ten in offensive rebounds. She attacks the glass. So tough offensively. Gophers are coming in with Nehemiah Holloway, who's been increasing her minutes slowly as the season has been going on, doing a nice job coming off the bench.
Battle back on as well for the Gophers. Holloway will go straight to Sophie Hart and up to the top with Battle. She'll feed Grachalski in the post, go up with the right hand and not quite able to get the bounce. Strong rebound from Che.
Holloway brings in incredible athleticism for the Gophers, a two-time high jump state champion at Eden Prairie High School, high jumping 5'10", Nehemiah Holloway.
It was a great feed to Muhammad in the post there, but the Ducks couldn't finish. McKinney thought about it. Instead, she'll go to Holloway, makes a defender miss, goes up, and again, just some of these off the glass, not able to finish for the Gophers, and a huge block on Sophie Hart for Che.
It's not often that Sophie Hart is undersized in the paint at 6'5", but Philly Che at 6'8", those long arms getting the block inside on Sophie Hart.
She leads the Ducks with 23, now 24 blocks. As a look to take it back up the court. 13-10 Gophers, 1:15 to go in the first quarter. And they'll go straight up to the top. And with the two, it's Muhammad.
Muhammad breaking a 2-minute scoring drought by the Ducks there. Gophers are 0 of 4 on their last field goal attempt. So both teams, again, struggling a little bit offensively here in the first quarter, which we knew would happen because these two teams are very defensive-minded, rely on their defense to create their offense.
Battle another deep two that'll ramble away. And the crowd not happy with that call, as shortly after they'll reverse it.
We've got quite the crowd here today at Williams Arena. And they let the refs know that they were not happy with that call.
Officiating crew, the referee Gina Cross with Lisa Jones and Tim Daly. Battle looked to Grachalski and can't get it off as it's called on Nehemiah Holloway.
A moving screen there on the weak side of that baseline out of bounds play. Holloway just trying to get her teammate open. Tori McKinney picking up full court. Tori McKinney named Defensive Player of the Year in the AAU season as a high school player. So she is a heck of a defensive player for the Gophers.
Well, it was Muhammad shooting over the top, but still couldn't make it. Battle, 5-second difference between the shot and game clock. Battle goes to work in the post, dishes it out. And deciding not to go for it is Tori McKinney. Feeds Hart for the deep two, and it's no good.
I'm not sure if the Gophers were aware of the time on the clock there. I think they would have chosen to use a little bit more of the game clock if they would have known.
Well, the shot clock now shut off for Oregon's last possession. Go up for the two, and she will get the foul. Good drive by Deja Kelly.
Nice job by Deja Kelly. Again, we talked about it before the game, a 2,000-point scorer, played her first 4 seasons at North Carolina, a 3-time All-ACC team selection. So she is bringing quite the resume with her in her graduate year here at Oregon. These Oregon Ducks have 2 players who have 2,000 points. Peyton Scott, also coming off the bench, is another 2,000-point scorer. So unheard of. They have the most combined points of a pair of teammates in the nation at 4,204. That's quite the stat for the Oregon Ducks.
Well, it speaks to the high-quality transfers they've been able to bring out. On the timeline. How about it?
Amaya Battle, we've talked about how she has added the long three-pointer to her game this season, but we were not expecting that from Amaya Battle. I think the Oregon Ducks were sleeping after that free throw. She caught everyone off guard. Amaya Battle for the long three, giving the Gophers the lead, 16-14 at the end of the first quarter.
Well, our producer said to do a Battle three-quarter shot for the tech check.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Coach that might ring a bell is Courtney Vandersloot. She played for Graves when he was a coach at Gonzaga, the other player in history to reach 2,000 points and 1,000 assists. So he has coached some all-star players in his time as a head coach, both at Gonzaga and Oregon.
Well, fast break off the turnover, and it'll be Nani Falatea bringing this back to a 1-point game.
And again, another turnover by the Minnesota Gophers that puts them up to 8 on the game. This is a team that averages around 10.
Well, Oregon's on an 8-0 run over the last minute and change. 4 of the last 4 field goals. Gophers a 2-minute, 7-second scoring drought, even though they've made 5 of the last 7 from the floor. Stewart has it, 5 seconds, and she'll get the foul called on Kelly.
Ani Stewart has been relatively quiet today. Coming off the bench, she does average 10 points for the Gophers. She usually gives them a lift from behind the 3-point line. So getting her first chance to score here at the free throw line. Also the Gophers' first appearance at the free throw line today.
Well, that's something that Kelly Graves really stresses. Their goal is to make more free throws than the other team shoots. Washington only got to the line 4 times when they won last Wednesday, or this past Wednesday. Stewart steps off, and the Ducks now trailing by 3. Whitfield in for the Ducks. She'll hand it off, and it gets back to Kelly. Kelly goes back to Mevius and sinks the 3.
Mevius continuing to have the hot hand, her 10th point on perfect 4 of 4 from behind the field. Ducks continuing to be in that 1-2-2 3-quarter court trap, back into a half-court man-to-man defense.
Well, Hart got tripped up when guarding Whitfield, and they'll turn it over again. Ducks a chance to go on their first lead since very early in the first quarter. Whitfield puts it up and makes it. Ducks lead.
Oregon Ducks are 6 of 6 on their last field goal attempts. Meanwhile, the Gophers have not scored in the last 3 minutes and 24 seconds. So a little bit of a scoring drought here for the Gophers after that quick start in the second quarter.
Well, the Gophers haven't trailed since 3-2. And it's 1:24 to go in the first half. Battle will swing it around. They'll find Higher down low. She'll work it around, and a good move, but can't finish. Hart gets the rebound. Third life for this Gopher offense. Battle takes the 3. And again, Gophers just can't finish right now.
The Ducks fell back from that 1-2-2 full court press into a zone, and the Gophers had a hard time figuring it out offensively. They did a nice job crashing the boards, but they were unable to convert on those offensive rebounds in that last possession.
Well, we talked about this. Mevius hits the 3, puts the Ducks up 5. We talked about how the Gophers haven't lost when they led at the end of the first quarter. Ducks haven't lost when they've led at the end of the first half. And there's another turnover forced on Battle, as Mevius will put the Ducks to a game-high 7-point lead.
Three-second differential between the game clock and shot clock here. The Ducks continue to stay in that half-court zone.
And when the Gophers needed it most, Grace Grahalski will put a 3 up, bring this back to 4. The Ducks still have 5 seconds. Kelly will go to work on her own, on Rose and Battle. Can't finish aside the 2 of them. Gophers trailing 4 at the end of the first half. Not where you thought it would go 5 minutes ago.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
The Gophers look to have a lot of life in them this season. Certainly rebounded well from the losses they've faced. As Grahalski goes to work, pulls back, and can't get it. But Sophie Hart on the rebound, still can't finish. But the ball will stay with the Gophers.
Great hustle by the Gophers. In her press conference after the Indiana game, Coach Don Plitzowite talked about the pillars that this team follows: toughness, togetherness, and find a way. And I think that represents this Minnesota Gophers team perfectly this season, especially with the loss of leading scorer Mara Braun. They have had to find a way to win some of these basketball games, and they've had to do it together, and they've had to do it by being tough.
Well, you see that shove on Sophie Hart in the replay as they're questioning a timeout, it looks like, from the Oregon bench. We're questioning the call, but Battle nonetheless will be inbounding it. She'll find Gracholski on that far side. Goes up herself amidst traffic, still able to get 2 on the board.
Grace Gracholski, so multifaceted in her offense. She can shoot the 3, she can dribble, penetrate like you saw there. She's also capable of posting up. Her offensive game has been a little bit laggard the last couple games, but she's slowly coming alive here in the third quarter. Oregon still leading and scoring 15-10 here in the third quarter at Williams Arena.
You see that foul on Sophie Hart. Mevius inbounds it to Kelly. Hart gets caught up high, but Ducks can't get it to Muhammad in time. Instead, they go all the way around to Mevius. She'll come up top to Whitfield. Whitfield swings it around to Kelly. Guarded by Battle. Hart jumps in. And they'll bring it around to Falatea. Into Muhammad. A good hand by Tori McKinney, and Battle has it going up.
Sophie Hart was working on that defensive possession. She was showing on her teammates' ball screens, getting back and helping, and they were able to convert that defensive turnover into a 3-pointer for the Minnesota Gophers, cutting the lead to 6, 52-46 with 2:23 in the third quarter here at Williams Arena.
Well, Grace Gracholski, her 3-pointers have certainly come when the team needed it, as a good hand from Tori McKinney will put this ball out of bounds.
Tori McKinney is slowly making her presence known defensively here in the third quarter. She's listed at 6'1", but she's got those long arms, able to get her fingertips on those loose balls so often.
Well, Oregon's lead cut down to 6. Kelly working on McKinney.
Great help by Sophie Hart there.
And Whitfield gets the call on higher.
That's a tough call. I thought there might have been a little bit of a travel there prior to the call, but we'll let the refs make that decision.
Well, the fans and higher certainly not a fan of the call, but it'll send Alexis Whitfield to the line. She's averaging 4.7 points a game. She's got 6 already.
Whitfield, a 73% free throw shooter.
Originally from California, she played at Washington and UC Santa Barbara before landing here again. One of those transfers that have really built up this Oregon core. And Sophie Hart will get the rebound from that second free throw and dish it off to McKinney.
This last 2 minutes here are crucial for the Gophers, down 7.
Higher goes to Sophie Hart. Up high, but starts to work lower and gets the call on Che.
Sophie Hart doing such a nice job against the much taller 6'8" Che. She's getting her post-ups a little bit higher, which is allowing her to utilize her footwork and get around 6'8" Che instead of trying to go over her.
Well, to Che's credit, only the 1 foul on the day so far. Certainly tough when you've got that size advantage to not get called on sort of scrap balls, but Sophie Hart, either way, will go to the line.
Credit goes to both of these teams. We don't have anyone in the game with 3 fouls, so quite a clean game so far for both of these teams defensively.
Well, a little bit different than what we were talking about pregame with the Four Nations series last night.
Yeah, that was the opposite of a clean game if you watched that game in the first 9 seconds.
Well, we made it past 9 seconds without 3 fights, so I'd say we're doing pretty good this afternoon.
Sophie Hart converting on 1 of 2 free throws, cuts the lead to 6. With a minute 35 here to go in the third quarter.
Well, Kelly, a shot from deep in the paint, gets 2 and expands that lead back up to 8 for Oregon.
Kelly just so tough to defend on that dribble pull up, her 13th point. She's got that quick high release.
McKinney gets the screen from Hart, works in, but Che's there to stop her. She goes back with the left hand and it just rattles out as the offensive foul is called.
A little bit of token ball pressure here.
Well, she'll back off rather quickly as Che now has it. Up high, gives it right back to Kelly. McKinney picks her back up, but down low as she brings it all the way back up to Scott. Haven't called her name quite as much this afternoon. Che goes up with the left hand on Hart. Hart goes down. And Gracholski will be bringing the ball back over.
Well, we're just glad to see Sophie Hart get back up because she hit the ground rather hard.
Well, some discussion between the officiating crew right now. As the crowd not happy with the lack of call back there.
I think things are getting pretty physical down low between Sophie Hart and Philly Che. Obviously, both teams want this win.
You know, I might have jinxed it by bringing up that game last night. Well, the Oregon lead still at 8. Gophers with a chance to inbound it. It'll be Gracholski. Blitzwhite still in conversation with the official. You see on that right side of your screen.
Gophers setting up in their box out of bounds play.
And no good from Gracholski. 17 seconds left. Shot clock shut off. Mevius.
She has had the hot hand for the Ducks today. 18 points and a perfect 7 of 7 from the field.
Well, with 5 seconds left, it's her again. No good. Enough time for a rebound and putback, but too far under. And how about that? What a late play from Alexis Whitfield.
And sometimes that third player is the one that's difficult to stop, right? We've got two 2,000-point scorers on the court in Deja Kelly and Peyton Scott. The Gophers are probably pretty focused on those two 2,000-point scorers. So Mevius taking advantage of that and hitting those 18 points today.
Well, a great all-around contributor as she leads the team in steals as well, as we mentioned earlier. It's Tori McKinney working with the 10-point deficit. She'll go over to Gracholski. Back to McKinney. McKinney works it in. Doesn't have space to go, but Sophie Hart finds it. Hart gets it stripped away by Falatea. Falatea goes up on her own. 2 Gophers there, and she can't finish. Sophie Hart gets the rebound. Battle with the mid-range. And it rattles out.
Gophers are struggling to find an offensive set that works against this Ducks defense. Ducks are rotating between a man-to-man defense and a 2-3 zone defense, and the Gophers just can't quite seem to get into a rhythm and a flow.
Whitfield, she's had a bit of a hot hand tonight. Almost stripped away by Battle. Instead, she dishes it off, and the 3 from Scott is no good.
Scott is still scoreless, believe it or not.
Well, Scott 0 of 2, even though she's been so influential on this season, as she goes down really hard. Sophie Hart finishes it, and Scott wants the foul. Blitzwhite wants the flop.
Sophie Hart does such a nice job of keeping the basketball up high and also clearing away the defense with that off arm.
Whitfield goes up with the right and brings this once again back to a 10-point lead for the Ducks.
Gosh, every time the Gophers get that lead down to 6 or 8, the Ducks continue to keep the lead back up to 10. Gophers need to get a couple of defensive stops here in this 4th quarter if they're going to have a chance at winning this game.
Well, Battle shot is no good. Again, the Ducks, neither team rather, had led by double digits until a decent amount of the way through the 3rd quarter, and yet the Ducks just keep applying pressure, and like you said, Marissa, every time the Gophers strike, the Ducks strike right back. They'll go down low to Che, working inside of Hart. and adds 2 more to her total. Still just 4 points. Quiet afternoon for her.
Yeah, that's a tough move to stop, though. When she gets positioned on that block, she is left-handed, so that's exactly where she wants the basketball. Hart defended that appropriately.
Well, Muhammad and Kelly looking to check back in for the Ducks. Annika Stewart for the Gophers as Gracholski goes up on Che and just the left arm swats it down.
Gophers continuing to struggle offensively here. Gracholski doing everything she can to get to the basket, and then 6'8" Che with those long arms getting the block.
Well, not a whole lot of players can make that kind of block look so nonchalant, but when you're 6'8", what a great blocking presence for the Ducks to have. The 3 ball, no good. And again, Gophers find themselves down 12. Balatea goes over to Kelly, recently back into the game. Kelly, step back 2. Sort of got lost in the Gopher defense.
She's got great elevation on that jump shot as well as that quick release. And again, we talk about clutch players. Deja Kelly is a clutch player for the Oregon Ducks.
Gophers send it all the way across to McKinney, and McKinney brings this one back within 11, 6:20 to go. As we saw Wednesday, not out of reach by any means for the Gophers, but they've got to keep the offensive production going.
Yeah, they were able to come back from down 12 with under 5 minutes to go against the Ohio State Buckeyes in that overtime loss on Thursday. Amaya Battle just continuing to struggle with the turnovers today, which is very uncharacteristic of her.
Well, Battle now up to 6 turnovers. 6 of the team's 15. On the other side, just 4 turnovers for the Ducks. And again, no call for that play on McKinney, and the crowd not happy with it.
Game's getting a little bit chippy here as we near the end. Both teams wanting this so bad.
Well, Battle wanted some help, didn't get it. She goes in herself and can't finish, looking at the ref, but not getting the call again. Seems like the Gophers are starting to get a little bit frustrated with the officiating in this game.
Yeah, not getting some of the calls that maybe they're used to getting or they think they should get, especially with that home court advantage.
Well, Whitfield goes to Kelly, screen on McKinney. And Kelly works it, loses it, but somehow gets it off. And Scott takes the 3, still not able to get on the board. Heyer picks up the rebound.
Just one defensive stop at a time for the Gophers here. There's plenty of time left in this game.
Battle just works around the defense, and a chance for the 3-point play.
Hopefully this and one will breathe a little bit of life into the Gopher offense. Amaya Battle taking the foul from Peyton Scott, getting herself to the free throw line, where she is a 75% free throw shooter.
Battle a chance to be the 4th Gopher in the game in double digits, joining Heyer, Gracholski, and Hart.
Gophers are subbing Alexia Rose into the game for Amaya Battle. Again, Alexia Rose has seen her minutes increasing slowly over Big Ten conference play. She's done a fantastic job for them defensively. She also is near the top of the Big Ten conference in assist to turnover ratio, so she does a fantastic job of maintaining possession of the basketball, which is crucial here in the last 5 minutes of this game.
Well, Whitfield gives it to Kelly. Kelly going to work on Gracholski. Gets the call, but can't make the shot.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
The possession arrow, and again, the crowd not happy with that call, but it'll send the Ducks to the line.
Gophers are flying everyone out at the basketball. Looks like Annika Stewart got mostly ball, but obviously we'll let the officials do their job. They called a personal foul there.
That's 4 on Minnesota.
Muhammad is at the line. She is a 57% free throw shooter, missing the first. Ducks up 4 with 2:17 to go in the game.
Well, the barn is certainly rocking. Loud student section came out today, but the Ducks will make the second from Muhammad, so it's a 5-point lead. 2:17 to go.
Ducks are continuing to three-quarter court press.
Well, they'll back off a bit. McKinney finds the lane, but it's quickly closed up. That's Sophia Bell in the coverage. Now Mallory Heyer has it. Looks for Stewart, she's not open. Goes inside to Gracholski, up for 2. No good, Gophers need to stop here.
It's a good offensive possession by the Gophers, taking advantage of that mismatch that Grace Gracholski had in the paint.
Mevius, the game's leader, gets trapped.
Nice job by the Gophers. They don't typically rely on a trap like that, but obviously.
This game getting exciting. Under 2 minutes, 5-point game. Gophers with a big comeback on Wednesday, but the Ducks defense is unrelenting. Ducks can't finish on that sequence.
Gophers have subbed in Nehemiah Holloway, who is known for her rebounding ability. And she did just that, pulling in that defensive rebound for the Gophers on this possession.
Well, Battle goes up for 2, and the rebound goes right into Kelly's arms. She'll try to slow things down. 22 on the shot clock, 1:07 now on the game. She's guarded by McKinney. Works around her and loses it, but gets the foul. A minute even to go, still a 5-point game. Both teams in the bonus.
Deja Kelly at the free throw line, a 65% free throw shooter. So if she does have what we could potentially call a weakness in her game, she's not the strongest free throw shooter.
Well, Sophie Hart comes back in for Holloway, and the Ducks respond with Che actually replacing Whitfield.
Still a 2-possession game here.
Well, after missing the first, a huge rebound opportunity for the Gophers if they can get this. Tall task for Hart, but she makes it, so not an issue. Gophers have to make up 6 in 57 seconds. Battle has it.
The Gophers will have to move quickly here.
Battle mid-range 2 is good. And it's a 4-point game.
All right, Coach Blitzwhite has a decision to make here. Do you foul and put him at the free throw line, or you let this defensive possession play out, down 4?
Well, Mevius, 80% free throw shooter, so maybe not the right choice to foul. Good job getting the ball in her hands. Good pressure from McKinney, but letting so much time tick off. Under 30 seconds, 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Kelly guarded heavily by Battle. Kelly drives in and gets the roll and the call. 24 seconds. This is going to be a tough uphill battle for the Gophers.
Just an unfortunate call for the Gophers. They played solid defense all the way to the end of that shot clock. They got the ball out of Mevius' hands, who's an 80% free throw shooter. And then Kelly did what she does best, obviously known for her clutch performances, getting herself to the free throw line.
Well, Kelly, you saw there her season averages. She's up at 20 points with a chance to make it 21. And Heyer eventually comes up with the rebound. And a good job by her. That would have been hard to come back from. So again, the Gophers really looked like they were going to come out of the gate really strong. This would be their first loss after leading at the end of the first quarter. They've got just 20 seconds to turn things around. They put the ball in McKinney's hands, and she can't finish the shot.
Nice job by Tori McKinney, fighting to get herself to the basket and to the free throw line, getting the clock stopped. 17.6 seconds, down 6. Tori McKinney, an 87% free throw shooter. So the odds are in her favor here.
Well, if she hits both, still technically a one-possession game, but the Ducks play it smart, certainly not going to shake out that way as McKinney does get that first one.
Gophers will have to foul right away. Let as little time off the clock as possible.
Well, the Ducks, a few more of these, but odds not in their favor right now. Down for 17 seconds left with the Ducks having possession. Ducks inbound, guarded heavily, and they'll get the foul right away, as was the Gophers' plan.
Looks like the foul, they fouled Peyton Scott, an 82% free throw shooter.
Well, Scott 0 for 3 on the day. Gophers may be hoping that she's a little bit rusty. Scott has played just 14 minutes today. She averages 24. Well, realistically speaking, it's a two-possession game either way. But a tougher task for the Gophers now that the lead's expanded to 5. A don't miss sign from the student section, but she hits both. And so the Gophers are going to need 2 threes. With the bonus, that'll go all the way to the other end. The Gophers still do have 1 timeout. And heading to the line, looking to add on to her great night, is Mevius.
Mevius, a 79% free throw shooter. She's got 18 points on the night so far.
Well, another miss, and this is still within reach for the Gophers if they get threes off and get some luck on the other end of the court. But now a 7-point deficit. McKinney will work up quickly, lose it going over the timeline. And just 9.1 seconds to go.
2 unfortunate turnovers here on the last 2 possessions for the Minnesota Gophers in real time, but the Gophers are doing everything they can to get this game as close as possible.
And fouled right away is Scott. Rose gives the foul. Again, Scott, no points from the floor, just those 2 free throws that she made a couple seconds ago on the game clock, maybe 10 minutes ago in real time. Student section maybe losing a little momentum as this one's starting to feel out of reach for the Gophers.
Yeah, with the lead at 8 now, unfortunately, a 3-possession game with 8 seconds to go. Yeah, Oregon did a nice job down the final stretch of hitting the free throws they needed to hit.
Well, a good wake-up call from Gracholski. And instantly a trap from the Gophers. They have the possession arrow, still 6 points, but less than a second to go. Just too little, too late. But, you know, again, a great fight from the Gophers.
Yeah, the Ducks did a nice job in the second half of increasing their efforts on the rebounding front. The Gophers were leading the rebounds quite a bit at the halftime. And the Ducks evened up the rebounding in the second half, so that's one of the big stories for me in the second half of why the Ducks came away with the victory, is they were able to stay even with the Minnesota Gophers on the rebounding front in the second half.